With Game Week 5 being a complete write-off for most FPL managers, I thought I'd put together today a video for the ultimate wildcard for Game Week 6. And starting off our wildcard draft, we have gone for Flecken in goal. Now I know what you're thinking, Brentford have only kept one clean sheet so far this season, but the reason that I put this man in here is I do believe he has the potential to be one of the best 4.5 million goalkeepers in the game. Rotates extremely nicely with Areola as well, so if you don't want to play Flecken, you can put Areola in, who's been terrific over the opening couple game weeks, picking up plenty of save points, plenty of bonus points as well. So those two do rotate extremely nicely, and I think as well Brentford kind of over the past few seasons have had a good record against top 6 sides, a very good defensive record as well, so I do think with positive fixtures coming up for them as well, we will expect to see more and more clean sheets kind of added to their tally over this season. Everton at home is a great fixture, and Nottingham Forest away for Flecken are the next two, but Areola does take on Sheffield United in Game Week 7, so like I said, that rotation already coming into effect next week to get the full advantage and target the best fixtures. Moving on into the back line, is Botman. Now we are going to be starting to look to target Newcastle players over the kind of next couple game weeks. If you didn't see my video that went out earlier today talking about the best Newcastle assets to buy, Botman was my number one kind of pick out of all of them. I know a lot of people have been looking at Trippier as potential maybe Estupinian or Chilwell replacements with him being on the bench today, but I think I just prefer Botman. The expected goal involvement for Trippier isn't quite there at the moment, whereas Botman is slightly underperforming him. A lot cheaper price as well, about 2 million cheaper as well. Great same fixtures as well. And I just feel with them signing Livramento, there is going to be a little bit more rotation within that side. You're not going to sign one of kind of the best young kind of Premier League right backs from Southampton for such a big fee if you aren't going to play him in Premier League games, you know, when Champions League and Cup fixtures do start to come around. So I do think we are going to see a little bit more rotation with Kieran Trippier, maybe coming off early, maybe not securing his clean sheet points as well. So we have gone with Botman. The Newcastle fixture run is as follows: Sheffield United, Burnley, West Ham, Crystal Palace, Wolves, then it's Arsenal, then it's back to Bournemouth. So it's a really good set of fixtures. If you want to see other Newcastle players as well, like I said, go and check out the other video on the channel that I did earlier today. Moving to our second defender, and it is a Doji. Now the next two for Spurs are pretty dismal, I'm not going to lie to you. Arsenal, Liverpool, it's not great, but then after that, Luton, Fulham, Crystal Palace, Chelsea at home and Wolves away. I don't think Chelsea are a team to be feared this season. They don't look very good going forward, and they don't look like convincing at the back either. So I definitely think when that Chelsea fixture does come around, it's not one that I'm potentially going to be too worried about, to be honest. So I think we're going to keep a Doji for the next two. Obviously, we've got players on the bench for next week to cover a Doji in that Liverpool game. But again, Liverpool playing this extremely high line, there's definitely space for players like a Doji and Ped Porro to exploit that defence as well. Liverpool not looked the best in terms of defensive, but you do have Kabore with his double in Game Week 7. So that could be something that you could easily just swap in and out with. Moving on to our final defender, and this one's a little bit controversial, and I think it's going to take a little bit of explaining. And we have stuck with Chilwell. Now, apparently the narrative going around at the moment is that it was a precautionary kind of not starting him today, mainly down to a slight knock that he picked up during the international break at some point. As soon as he came on, the game massively changed kind of towards Chelsea's favour. I felt there was just like a lack of energy before he came on. So I definitely think he could be back for next game week. And with their fixtures as well, the next three, I'd probably say Aston Villa at home isn't great, but then Fulham and Burnley are really good fixtures after that. By game week 9, you probably want to look to potentially move him on. I'm eyeing up, if I did the wildcard this week, to a Liverpool defender with Everton, Nottingham Forest and Luton during that time period. So that's potentially something you could do. But I feel like defenders this year, there aren't too many kind of standout performers that I'm like massively gagging to get into my team. We've also got Matty Cash there as well, who can replace Chilwell if needs be. The next two for Villa aren't great, but after game week 8, it's a really solid run, and I'm loving watching him. He's massively passing the eye test for me, so definitely a player, like I said, I want to kind of consider for game week 8 onwards. But yeah, we're going to keep Chilwell in there for now. Obviously, the fixture in Game Week 6 isn't great, so maybe you want to look to potentially play Cash if you feel like Chelsea aren't going to get the win there. Villa, obviously starting the season incredibly strong as well, but they are playing Europa Conference League this midweek, so there might be a little bit of rotation within their side. Moving into the midfield, we're going to start off with Bruno Fernandes, a man that I have in my team. His data set over the opening couple game weeks has been fantastic. I know the result yesterday didn't quite go Manchester United's way, and it was a little bit of a poor performance from some players, especially Bruno, who had a quiet game. But United's fixtures are quite good over the next kind of couple game weeks, over the next 5 I'd say as well. Burnley, Crystal Palace, Brentford and Sheffield United. Then they play City, but then it's Fulham and Luton as well. So I definitely feel we need a United asset during this run. Bruno, for me, he takes the penalties. He is kind of their key danger man. I thought Rashford massively passed the eye test for me. That's the first time he's done that this season. I thought he was brilliant. I feel if you had Rashford, I'd potentially look to hold him for this game week. I wouldn't be looking to sell. I think he put in a really strong performance, linking up well with Rasmus Højlund as well. He's one that hasn't unfortunately made this wildcard, but I feel in a few game weeks time he definitely might be on my shopping list or my wildcard in game week 8, game week 9, game week 10, whenever I decide to play it. He might be on that list as one of the potential options with those, like we said, good United fixtures. Moving on to our next midfielder, and it is Abichi Eze, the key man for Crystal Palace. Obviously not quite worked so far this season, but Fulham at home is a great fixture. They have the highest XG conceded in the league. Even against Luton, they conceded 1.28 XG. Could have got a goal yesterday against Aston Villa if it wasn't for some smart defending on the line from the Villa defender. So he's definitely one of those players that I think is due a little bit of an explosion. Obviously there's quite a few injuries at Crystal Palace at the moment as well. He is very much a kind of short-term pick as the Crystal Palace fixtures aren't great. You'd probably bench him in game week 7, but you're going to play Morris and Kabore in those games anyway, so you've got that made replacement. Then in game week, let me have a look here. Game week 8, they play Nottingham Forest at home, which is a really good fixture. After that, Newcastle, Tottenham, but again, this is where we start to switch, we start to transition. Game week 9, I'd probably look to move him to Diaby, who's been absolutely fantastic for Aston Villa with their fixtures taking a massive swing there. West Ham, Luton, Nottingham Forest, Fulham. That fixture swing is immense. So I think you could hold Eze for the next kind of 3 game weeks. Next week, you're not going to play him. You're going to play Morris and Kabore with their double, and then play Eze in game week 8, and then look to move to Diaby in game week 9, who has started the season fantastically. Moving on to our next midfielder, and it is the highest scoring midfielder in the game at the moment. It is Bryan Mbeumo. Everton at home is a great fixture. Nottingham Forest the week after as well. On penalties, like we said, he's been sensational over the open couple game weeks. Newcastle away wasn't a fixture that I was kind of expecting too much out of him, and you know, he kind of lived up to the expectation of what we're all expecting. But like I said, the highest scoring midfielder so far in the game. I definitely think he's a player that you need to keep around your team as well. Brentford as well are a very good team against bigger teams on penalties as well, which is always a great asset to see. So I would keep Bryan Mbeumo and look to have him if I was hitting that wildcard button as well. Moving on to our next midfielder, and it is James Maddison. Kind of one of these midfielders, there's a lot kind of languishing around the 30-point mark in terms of midfielders. The next two, like we said with Adoji, aren't the best, but I do feel he is one of those players that could look to exploit that. It is mainly here for the fixtures after, though. You are looking at your Lutons, your Fulhams, your Crystal Palace, the Chelsea game I think he could do extremely well in, and Wolves away. That Spurs team are just ticking along very nicely at the moment. I think this is the best start to a league season in like 58 years, which is absolutely ridiculous. It seems that Ange Postecoglou is getting the best out of this side. They're all adapting to the system extremely well as well. So it is really good to see that, you know, some attacking play with some great assets as well. I don't think Son's the worst option, but I'm just a little bit afraid that maybe after that poor performance, he is going to be switched back onto the left. You know, there are question marks about his position. Obviously, Brendan Johnson can also play up front. They put Kulusevski into the kind of forward position as well when Son went off for a little bit. Then Richarlison came on. So I don't know kind of 100% whether or not he is going to remain in that striker position. So I've gone with Maddison. We know what his position is about. We know what he's about as well. Free kicks, set pieces, all that good stuff. Moving on to our final midfielder, and it is the thumbnail man. And again, one of these players on that 30-point mark. It is Mohamed Salah. He has just been ticking along very nicely over the opening couple game weeks. Kind of going a little bit under the radar. I feel now with Liverpool's fixtures starting to take a little bit of a swing, especially around the game week 9 mark. I feel a lot more people are going to be jumping on the Salah bandwagon. He seems very much like Kane was last year. There's no mega hauls happening yet, but it's just like a steady stream of assist, goal, assist, goal. Some question marks around though, Salah, is whether or not he still holds the penalties. Obviously, they do have McAllister, who is a fantastic penalty taker. Szoboszlai has taken a few as well. So there is question marks with him missing quite a few of his last ones, especially the one this season as well. What Salah also offers you is a potential for a differential captain with City's fixtures kind of taking a little bit of a turn after game week 8. You look at their Everton for Liverpool in game week 9, Brighton for City, then Nottingham Forest while City play United, and then in game week 10 it's Luton, which is a great fixture target, but Haaland does have Bournemouth. So again, that one's going to be a little bit of a tricky one, probably a big split there. You can see already a 50-50 split. Luton definitely a team a lot of people are going to be looking to target, so I think getting Salah in early, getting on this hype train, you know, could be very beneficial for you, because like I said, he's like a very Kane-esque kind of scoring system this year for him. Very just ticking along nicely, not doing too much like magnificent, but just, you know, being there, being in the points, and that is what you want from some of these players. And he does offer a captaincy option in a couple game weeks time. Going on to our final 2 players, and it is our 2 forwards. We've got Erling Haaland. Could have honestly came away from the game against West Ham with 4 goals, 5 goals even at times. Honestly, the amount of data he put up in that game was ridiculous. He is due a huge haul at some point. The next 2 fixtures for City as well are brilliant. Nottingham Forest and Wolves away. So yeah, easy pick, easy hold. Captain for the next 2 game weeks as well, I'd say. Moving on to our final forward, and it is Julian Alvarez, a player who has been electric at the start of this system, has kind of replaced KDB in that sort of 10 role. It's something that a lot of people thought Foden was potentially going to fill in, but it does seem like it has gone to Julian Alvarez on a lot of free kicks and corners as well, which is always a great asset to see. 6.8 million, and like I said, has been absolutely killing it over the overall.
As I promise, like, and even it's been a weird these past few months, and knowing out
over the opening couple game weeks. That's the word I'm looking for. Over the opening couple game weeks. But like I said, City's fixtures do take a little bit of a turn, but we do have an out with Aston Villa's fixtures turning extremely nice in game week 8 as well. So we've got that easy switch. We can take advantage of Alvarez's next 2, then potentially look to move to Watkins or Duran as well, who keeps just scoring goals at the moment. Maybe with Europa League games, he is going to start to see some more game time. You've also got Spurs' fixtures taking a little bit of a swing as well during that time period, so maybe just dropping him down to an Archer, getting Son in there, upgrading Maddison. There's plenty of options that you can do, but I think for the moment in time, I would like Julian Alvarez. That was the team. Let's have a quick run through of the bench. Areola we spoke about. Morris and Kabore are in here for that double game week. After that time period, I'd probably just keep Kabore around. 4 million defender. Yeah, whatever. Morris, it wasn't a great game week for him. I bought him in this week, and well, that didn't go to plan, did it? Really didn't go to plan. And then Cash, like I said, mainly in here for when Villa's fixtures turn in game week 8. The next 2 aren't amazing, but I definitely think if you wanted to, you could play Matty Cash in game week 6 against Chelsea, because they haven't been, you know, all that convincing over the opening couple game weeks. If you did enjoy today's video and you want to see more content like this on the channel, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. And if you have any questions about your team, also get that in the comments section. Thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck this game week.